Name is Alex Lenhart, and I am here today to do my Media Lit project. And my documentary is going to be on the history of the St. Louis Blues, which has a long history now going back 50 years, where we were founded in 1967, which is now 50 years looking back has been a very long process for the Blues, especially since they're one of the oldest teams in the NHL's history to have never won the Stanley Cup, which is basically the World Series or the Super Bowl for somebody who's not into hockey. We are part of a division called the Central Division, which it's split into two, and that's how they decide who goes to the playoffs. And we are named after the W.C. Handy song St. Louis Blues, which I would play, but under copyright reasons I'm not. And where we got our start was 1967 with the expansion. Had at the time. We were actually the last choice to be chosen for the St. Louis Blues/NHL. And one of those main reasons we were chosen was because the Chicago Blackhawks owner, our rival, actually helped the St. Louis team come here because he owned a stadium which got us chosen over the other team, which was Baltimore. And it's just a really interesting fact that the rivals of the St. Louis Blues, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here today. Just very interesting. And we're skipping ahead a little bit. From 1908 to 1998, it was known as one of the best times in all of Blues history. It was the times that they got really close to a Stanley Cup, but could not succeed. They called it basically the Brett Hull era because one of the main stars and the captain of that era was Brett Hull. And the Brett Hull era had a few of the best stars in all of the league. They had Adam Oates and Brendan Shanahan as our forwards, great people. The defenseman Alec McKennis was a great guy, and our goalie was Curtis Joseph, which he was a great one of the greatest goalies in all of St. Louis Blues history. He even has his number retired, which is a huge honor. And of course, I cannot do without saying Brett Hull, the man, the myth, the legend here in St. Louis. The guy who single-handedly was, as we know, one of the best players of all time. And he barely almost lost his opportunity to win a Stanley Cup if he didn't move away from St. Louis, which sadly he didn't win here. And when you're bringing up the best years of the St. Louis Blues, you also have to bring up the worst. In 2004, we had a streak going from 25 years. In 2004, it ended. We had a streak of we won 25-year streak of playoff victories, like going to the playoffs. And in 2004, we lost that. So it was the third biggest athletic hockey record in history. And we lost that. And considering that, a year later, in 2005 and 2006, it was considered the worst year of the St. Louis Blues history. And we lost a bunch of games. It was not a pleasant year to be alive. And also during that time, we had the NHL lockout, which basically, to sum it up, was where all the Blues team and almost every NHL team locked the buildings so that fans couldn't get in. So there was really no NHL hockey. And it was one of the most historic reigns. But luckily, we're back up there. We're a great team again. We are not as bad as we were at the time. and we are getting pretty better. We actually made it to the NHL Finals this year. We got close to the Stanley Cup, but barely missed it. And we have a pretty good record in non-Stanley Cup wins. We've got 9 division titles, which means they won the Central Division, and 1 Presidential Trophy, which is basically awarded like. And it's our team is one of the biggest losers in all of St. Louis history and all of NHL history. We get there and then we flop. But I believe that this year and last year we have a chance. We have a chance of becoming the best NHL team in history. Because we might not have won any championships, but we've left a lasting